Welcome to Mischief Wargaming. I'm John, and this is Fallout Wasteland Warfare. This game is a small-scale skirmish miniatures wargame, made by V.A.T.S Entertainment and based on the Fallout video game series, currently published by Bethesda. In this first episode, I'll be starting a solo mini-campaign called The Beast of the Bottling Plant, which sees a gang of raiders setting up a camp by an abandoned Nuka-Cola bottling plant, unaware that the locals have abandoned it for a very good reason. The first scenario is called Welcome to the Neighbourhood. The raiders have just set up their camp, but they need power. They notice the locals have a radio beacon set up, but more importantly, they notice a generator that is powering the radio beacon. Here is the board setup. The important areas are the radio bunker, and the generator. The raiders have to place pylons to siphon power away from the radio to free destinations. The locals have to switch on the radio beacon and then prevent the raiders from stealing too much power by destroying the pylons. Let's look at the two teams involved. First up is the team that I will be controlling, the locals. They're led by Piper, who is heroic and armed with a 10mm pistol and carrying a bottle of Nuka-Cola. With her is Godfrey, who is using the stat card for Codsworth, a Mr. Handy robot with the extra ability to provide healing in the form of purified water. They are backed up by a settler armed with a hunting rifle, a settler with a double-barreled shotgun and some cram, and two scavengers armed with a pipe pistol and a bottle of beer each. Against them are the raiders, which will be controlled by the game's AI system. They are led by a raider veteran. She is heroic and comes with a suit of raider power armor, an assault rifle and a dose of buff out. She also has an ability to use another raider as a meat shield, making her especially hard to put down. She's backed up by a raider with heavy raider armor and a pipe rifle, two raiders with pipe pistols, a scaver with a pipe pistol and two Molotov cocktails, and a psycho with a tire iron, a dose of psycho, and a frag grenade. To win, the locals need to switch on the radio beacon and accumulate tokens at the end of each round based on their broadcast strength. 9 or more tokens at the end of round 6 means victory for me and the locals. The raiders win if I score less than 9 tokens at the end of round 6. However, if they manage to have all 3 destinations connected to the generator at the end of any round, they will automatically win. The locals have deployed in the upper left corner, while the raiders have deployed in the centre of the right side of the board. The raiders too will take the first turn. The raider with heavy armour makes the first move, heading towards the southernmost destination to try and hook it up to the generator. Godfrey takes the local's first activation, adding a token to show that it has purified water ready. Godfrey moves towards the radio beacon, aiming to switch it on as soon as possible. Next up, one of the pistol-armed raiders charges forwards. I then move up the settler with the hunting rifle up towards the woods. The raider veteran is up next. As they're heroic, they roll for V.A.T.S and gain 2 extraction points to use later. They move up with the other raider and spend a point to prepare, letting them react to something the locals can do later. The first of the 2 scavengers picks their way through the ruins ahead of them. The psycho charges forward next, and as she is faster than the other raiders, she's now in a good position to place a pylon within range of the generator. The other scavenger also picks their way through the ruins ahead of them. The other pistol-armed raider moves forward and inspects a nearby searchable. As he has used up both of his actions this turn, he cannot use his expertise to search the item proper. For now, the shotgun-armed settler moves forward, while the scaver completes the raider's turn by joining the rest in the midfield. To wrap up turn 1, Piper rolls her V.A.T.S roll, but fails to score any additional action points. She then moves up to join the rest of the settlers. At the end of the turn, the raiders have not hooked up the generator to any of the destinations, but the locals have yet to turn on the radio beacon themselves. To start turn 2, an event card is drawn. Thankfully for both sides, distant gunfire essentially means nothing happens. As the raiders went first last turn, the locals go first this turn. I moved up the settler with the hunting rifle and inspected the nearby searchable. Luckily, it was a free item. Unluckily, the item was a huge club. The settler isn't strong enough to use, so I discarded it. In a similar move, the raider with heavy armour moved up and inspect their nearby searchable. Unfortunately for them, it was empty. They finished their move and then place a pylon. More bad luck follows as I move up one of the scavengers and inspect another searchable. This time I had to draw a danger card before I could take an item. Thankfully the danger card wasn't applicable as Piper was still around, and then the item was worthless. One of the pistol-armed raiders fails to search the item he inspected last turn, and then fails to place a pylon. A scavenger moves forward and takes a shot at the psycho with his pipe pistol. The shot finds its target, but even the minimal armour worn by the psycho was enough to protect her. A raider moves towards the southern destination and places a pylon, which successfully connects it to the generator. In response to this, I move Godfrey into the position by the radio beacon, ready to switch it on next turn. The Raider Veteran is next. Gaining an action point through V.A.T.S, she moves in close and charges the scavenger who shot at the psycho. Using her extra action point, she attacks with the brute strength of her Raider power armour. The scavenger was thankfully protected by the bonus armour afforded to the locals faction. Piper's move next, and she too gets a bonus action through V.A.T.S. Piper moves up and fires her 10mm pistol at the psycho. The psycho wasn't as lucky as last time and takes 3 points of damage. To finish, Piper uses her distraction ability on the Raider Veteran, making their skill checks next round more difficult. In retaliation, the scaver moves forward and throws a Molotov cocktail at Piper. Scoring a hit, Piper was lucky to have negated the direct damage. However, both she and the nearby scavenger are now on fire and will take damage next turn. For the locals' final move, the shotgun-armed settler moves into cover. Lastly, the Psycho charges towards the settler with the hunting rifle. She uses up her dose of Psycho, the chem providing extra armour and extra dice to roll when she swings at the settler with her tire iron. The survivor's bonus armour made sure that the settler only takes one minor hit. At the end of turn 2, the locals have still not scored any points, as the radio beacon sits silent. The raiders, however, are a third of the way towards their objective, with one destination hooked up to the generator. Turn 3 begins with a new event card being drawn. Rugged Rubble means one of my locals could face something dangerous. The hunting rifle armed settler is affected by suspicious slime, and fails the required strength check. This means her movement is going to be seriously restricted for this turn and the next. The raiders have advantage this turn, and one moves up and takes a shot at a scavenger. Fortunately for him, the shot is deflected by the scavenger's bonus armour. The raider's luck gets worse as the scavenger fires back, dealing extra damage, injuring the raider. The scavenger's second shot, however, misses. The scaver is up next, choosing to fire at the least armoured survivor he can see, the shotgun armed settler. The first shot does enough extra damage to not only remove the settler's bonus armour, but to seriously wound her. The scaver fires again, dealing fatal damage, making the shotgun-armed settler the first casualty of the game. The remaining settler tries to fire her hunting rifle in melee at the Psycho. However, neither shot finds their mark in the chaos of close combat. The Psycho, on the other hand, is able to take out the settler with her tire iron, ultimately killing the settler. I'm 2 models down already. Time for some revenge. Piper puts out the fire before it does any real damage, only taking out the bonus armour. She takes a shot at the Psycho. Taking her down and finally killing one of the raiders. Using her action point, gained through V.A.T.S, she moves forward. The other pistol-armed raider places a pylon down and moves around the wooded area. Next up is the scavenger, who takes fire damage from the scavenger's Molotov, but manages to put the fire out. He then tries to use his pistol in melee, but unfortunately neither shot manages to hit the giant power-armoured frame. The Raider veteran responds with strikes of her own. The first misses, but the second finds their mark and nearly kills the scavenger. Godfrey switches on the radio beacon, finally allowing the locals to score some victory points. It may be too little too late, however. As the final raider moves up and places a pylon, connecting the westernmost destination to the generator. So, turn 3 ends with the raiders having 2 destinations connected. though the radio beacon is on, this means the locals score just 1 token. As turn 4 begins, a new event card is drawn. This time it's the Sounds of Diamond City Radio, which has no in-game effect. As the locals have less models remaining, they go first this round. Godfrey activates first, using his Mr. Handy Flamer to attack the armoured raider, with the aim to use his area of effect attack to also destroy a pylon. The raider's heavy armour protects them, but the pylon has no armour and burns up. The raiders are now back down to only 1 destination connected. The Scaver picks his way through the wooded area. It's slow going, but he manages to place a pylon, which now connects the northernmost destination. However, since the north and south destination run through the same pylon, only 1 destination counts. Noticing that 1 pylon is currently essential for 2 destinations, I charge a settler towards it, ready to attack it next turn in close combat. As he was the most immediate threat to the raider's objective, a raider takes aim and fires 2 shots at the scavenger. Both shots go wide, however. Piper's activation next. She gains an action point through V.A.T.S. and decides to bring this nearby raider down. Her first 2 shots fail to hit. But the third hits the raider, but not enough to take him out. The armoured raider replaces the pylon that Godfrey destroyed, bringing the number of destinations connected back up to 2. They then turn and try to shoot down the Mr. Handy. Neither shot managed to hit the robot though. The scavenger in close combat with the raider veteran desperately tries to damage the veteran. But the bulky raider power armor blocks the shots effortlessly. The raider veteran responds by disengaging from combat. This allows the scavenger 1 more attack as she leaves. But that also misses. Free from combat, the raider veteran places a pylon, which now connects the northernmost destination to the generator. To finish off, she fires her assault rifle at Piper, causing minor damage, but it is irrelevant. As I have no more locals who can activate, the turn might as well end, with all 3 destinations connected to the generator. Raiders score a major victory. The raiders have successfully siphoned enough power from the locals to power their new camp near the bottling plant. This victory will give the raiders bonuses for later missions in the campaign, whilst providing a debuff for the locals in the next game. Having powered their camp, the raiders are now moving on to their main goal of restarting the bottling plant. For that, they need information, and they know where to get it. This was the first game of Fallout Wasteland Warfare I've played in quite a while, so forgive me if there were any real inconsistencies and mistakes. I know where I went wrong as the locals. I misused Godfrey by using him to switch the radio beacon on when he would have been far better used on the attack. I also committed one of the scavengers in close combat with the raider veteran for far too long, when I should have tried to disengage. I also underestimated how dangerous the Psycho is in melee, and how dangerous the Scaver is at range. These are lessons I hope to make use of in the next game. So this ends the first video of the Fallout Wasteland Warfare campaign, and the first video of the channel. As I'm very new to this, I don't have any real schedule planned, but I do know that I don't really want to post the same game multiple times in a row, so my next video will most likely be another miniatures game. Follow on the social accounts linked below to find out what the next video will be as soon as I know, and thank you very much for watching.